back to one of our top stories now, and more than 80 local councils across Australia have flagged they won't hold their citizenship ceremony next year on January 26. It's a jump from the 2023 numbers when just 4 councils decided to shift the ceremony from Australia Day. The opposition claims this shows the Albanese government is laying the groundwork for the abolition of Australia Day. Now, joining me live is the Shadow Immigration Minister Dan Tehan. Dan, thanks so much for joining me this Saturday afternoon. How is this the Prime Minister's fault? Isn't this a decision made by these local councils?
No, well, the Prime Minister made a decision over a year ago to allow councils to do this, and he knew exactly what he was doing when he did it. It was a spineless way of making councils do all the dirty work, do all the groundwork for him in either moving or abolishing Australia Day. At the time when he made this decision, we warned that this is exactly what would happen. Now, the Prime Minister made a commitment before the last election that he wanted Australia Day to remain on the 26th of January. Well, if that's the case, he should say to councils, you need to allow future citizens to be able to have their citizenship ceremony day on Australia Day. Otherwise, you're making Australia Day like any other day. You are undermining it.
But Dan, how is this laying the groundwork for abolishing Australia Day? I'll bring you this quote now we've just got from Andrew Giles. He's the Minister for Citizenship. He says, quote, the Albanese government has no plan to change the date of Australia Day. I look forward to welcoming new citizens at ceremonies in coming weeks, including on Australia Day. So the government can't be much more emphatic than that it isn't going to change the date and it still wants to see ceremonies on Australia Day.
Well, then why are they allowing councils to not hold citizenship ceremony days on Australia Day? Why, when they were warned over a year ago that this would happen, that we would see councils right across the country not hold citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day, undermining the very national day where we should be encouraging people from all walks of life to come together and to celebrate what is great about this country. Instead, what they're doing is they're undermining the day by saying to councils, well, you don't have to hold citizenship ceremonies if you don't want to. And that means that if you're a future citizen of this nation, you don't have now the choice to be able to have your citizenship ceremony on our national day. Now, why would the government do this if it wasn't seeking to undermine our national day? Why wouldn't you allow the most precious ceremony for Australians who want to become citizens of this country to be able to do it on our national day? It is the Albanese Labor government undermining our national day. We warned that this would happen, and it's exactly what is happening.
But playing devil's advocate here, isn't this about choice? That ultimately these councils are answerable to the people they represent. And if they're making these decisions and if people aren't happy, they can tell their council, we want you to keep doing it the way we've had it for years.
Well, Trudy, it is about choice, and it's about offering those future citizens the chance to be able to have their citizenship ceremony on Australia Day. Now, citizens or future citizens can make their choice to have it done through the year as well if they want to. But what they should have is the choice to be able to have their citizenship ceremony held on Australia Day. And the point as well is that we have now a bank up of people wanting to become citizens of this nation. There are people who are waiting a long time to become citizens now. And what the government has done is taken away a very, very significant and important day for our nation, taken away the opportunity for these future citizens to have a citizenship ceremony on Australia Day. And if you go to Australian Day citizenship ceremonies, it's one of the highlights of those days is seeing the smiles on the faces of those citizens, those newly minted citizens. They love doing it on Australia Day. And the Prime Minister has not given us one good reason as to why he made the change to allow councils to drop the need to have citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day. Not one good reason. And what he's done
on that then, Dan,
is undermined Australia Day in doing it.
What about if the coalition win the next election? We're potentially in an election year next year. If you are the incoming minister in this portfolio, would you commit that you will reinstate that mandate that councils have to have it on this day, and if they don't, they have their rights stripped, which was what happened under the former government?
Absolutely. We see no reason as to why that policy shouldn't be reinstituted. As a matter of fact, we see no reason as to why Anthony Albanese took the underhanded decision to basically allow councils to do this. We knew that it would slowly undermine a day which is meant to unite us, a day which is our national day of celebration. That's exactly what is occurring, and we will reinstitute the policy that saw councils required to ensure that citizens had that choice to be able to have, well, future citizens have that choice to be able to have their citizenship ceremony on Australia Day. We want to put it back, and we see no reason why the Albanese Labor government shouldn't do exactly the same thing. Their policy is undermining Australia Day. Anthony Albanese should do the right thing. He should show spine, show leadership, and reinstitute a policy that meant that future citizens had that right to have their citizenship ceremony on Australia Day.
Do you think Australia Day really at the moment, though, is a day that unites us? We know there's always concerns from Indigenous Australians. They're not comfortable with celebrating January 26th. They believe it's Invasion Day. Are you comfortable with where we're at in this debate? We seem to have this at the same time every year, this exact same debate, and you could hardly say it's harmonious.
Well, what we should be doing is making sure that we're doing everything we can to make Australia Day, January 26, a day where we all do come together and unite. The Prime Minister believes that. He said that he sees no reason why Australia Day should change. So all of us on both sides of politics should be doing everything we can to make sure we all unite on Australia Day. And that's why we had the policy which said that councils had to have citizenship ceremonies on Australia Day. We wanted to make sure it recognised the importance of this day, of bringing people from all walks across the world here, and those who wanted to commit to be citizens of this country, enabling them to do it on our national day. That's what we should be seeking to achieve. Make sure, we acknowledge the rights, the wrongs, the goods, the greats of our nation. Do it all on our national day, but bring people together. Rather, what the Prime Minister has done through this slippery policy change has basically meant that Australia Day will continue to divide us when it should be all about uniting us.
Well, Dan Tehan, thanks so much for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. Lovely to see you. A happy New Year, and I'll talk to you into the new year.
Thanks, Trudy, and Happy New Year to you and all your listeners as well.